biggest question I had about living in Newcastle was how I'd be able to live so far away from home for many months at a time with complete strangers. So although I have previously attended university and lived in halls, my previous living situation meant that I was only 40 minutes away from home. So I was able to take the train and be home every weekend. As Newcastle is 6 hours away, I knew that that wasn't going to be an option. So Newcastle University has a section on their website where they allow you to speak to current students. Luckily, the student I was speaking to was living away from home, quite far away. So I asked her what it was like and what the bedrooms were like, what the people were like. And she said that their bedrooms were quite spacious, that depending on which accommodation you pick, you will be very close to campus and city centre and eateries and restaurants to go to. And she said that the people were very friendly in Newcastle as well. This put my mind at ease, and I can honestly say as a current student that she was right. So I had nothing to worry about, and neither do you.
The biggest question I had about living in Newcastle was what accommodation to choose. When I was deciding on my top choices of accommodation, I was really stuck. I was fortunate enough to have a look around during an open day, and I saw the amount of options there were. And it made me realise that there was more than one certain accommodation that I would have been more than happy at living at. And so that really took the stress out of the situation. I've been living at Portland Green here for over 5 months, and I've settled in really well. I've made friends with neighbouring flats, and yeah, I've really enjoyed my time so far here.
So the biggest question I had about living in Newcastle is what it would be like to study and also live at home. I'm actually from Newcastle and I live not too far from the university itself, so I decided to stay at home during my medicine degree. I was a little bit worried at first that, all of my friends would be living in student accommodation and they might make plans or make friendship groups that I wasn't a part of because I wasn't there, but that's really not the case. I'm always included in everything, and it means I can come home at the end of the day and still see family and friends that I made before going to university.
The biggest question I had about living in Newcastle was what clubs and societies were going to be available. I've looked around Newcastle before, and so I knew the city centre is full of bars, restaurants, golfing places. They've got everything, cinemas, swimming pools. But during the first week of freshers, I attended the clubs and societies fair, and I realised they literally have a society for everything, so you will not be bored.
The biggest question I had about living in Newcastle was how it was gonna be like living outside my country for the first time. This was the very first time living outside my home, and I think it's the first time for many international students. And it's very scary at first, but once you get to know the city and you adapt yourself to the weather and the culture, it's very nice and you become very adjusted to it. I think Newcastle is such a vibrant city and there's so many options for students to go out and have a drink or just go to a restaurant and just have fun in general. Like, there's so many activities. Newcastle is such a big city and it's so pretty.
The biggest question I had about living in Newcastle was about adjusting to the change of weather and the change of food. As for the weather, it's not really that bad and you just need to get used to a few rainy days. As for the food, the city centre is just a short walk away and has everything you need.
So the biggest question I had about living in Newcastle was, how do I make friends? And moving to Newcastle, particularly as an international student from Indonesia, not to mention halfway across the world, it brought many concerns about integrating into a new social environment. However, the university environment actually proved to be very helpful in forming connections. So my personal advice to making friendships is that as long as you stay open-minded, kind, and friendly, I'm sure that any environment that you're in will open opportunities to meet fellow students and friends like yourself from diverse backgrounds. Newcastle University also have a wide range of societies and clubs, where I met some of my best friends and people with the same interests as me, or even ethnicity, where I got to connect with Indonesian people from an Indonesian club society, where I got to connect with people from my hometown that provided, at least me, a sense of familiarity in a new setting.